Hey, I'm Danielle, and I recently just left my old job. If you're in the position where you are transitioning jobs right now, or you're thinking about leaving your job, you just left your job, I just feel like this is something that we don't talk about enough, and so I am sharing the behind the scenes, all the in between, because we never know what's actually happening when a friend or someone we know is like, hey, I got a new job. It's like, wait, what actually happened there? So let me tell you what happened with me. I had been at my job for a couple of years and I just knew it was time to make a change. I was super stressed. I just didn't feel like I was in my area of strength or really feeling fulfilled. And as I thought back, I knew that I loved this work that I used to do with high school students. I helped them get into college, and I just feel like it's such a pivotal time in your life as a teenager, and it felt fulfilling when I did that work. So I reached back out to my old boss to see if there's any possibility of working for her again, and it actually worked out. Besides the fact that I knew that I loved this work, I was also going to have the opportunity to go through a training to be able to lead this style of workshop for high school students, and it would also give me more schedule flexibility for my side gig, which is giving strengths assessments to see if someone's a good fit for a job. So it all seemed to be working out pretty well. But then things went a little haywire. First off, I actually got offered a significant raise. My company had traditionally paid more like a nonprofit than a for-profit, and I just really didn't expect it. But to be exact, I got offered a $13,000 raise with an $8,000 bonus, and I was shocked. That really made me question things just because I didn't really expect it, and it made it feel more worthwhile to stay, even though, weirdly enough, I'm not super motivated by money on its own. So I decided I'm gonna stick to my guns, I'm gonna continue forward, and I'm going to put in my notice. So I did put in my notice, and then ended up doing the webinar for the new job where we were gonna get new clients and I was going to get paid by client. And then nobody signed up. There's a variety of reasons for that, but naturally, that led to a little bit of a mental breakdown. I was like, okay, I told my job I was gonna leave, and I have $0 confirmed for the new job. As you can imagine, I was kind of losing it, but for whatever reason, my gut was telling me, keep going forward. So I stuck with it, apparently just choosing the path of chaos. And luckily, to my surprise, because I honestly didn't expect things to work out at that point, the boss from my new job said, hey, I'm going to pay you this weekly amount, and you can do some outreach and work with some of the students that I'm working with. I'll kind of hand them over to you so you can teach those classes and those one-on-ones. And I was like, oh my god, there was a method to this madness. There was a reason that I continued down this path. But things, of course, still did not go as planned, which you will see in a moment here. The job transition, once I actually left my old job and started my new job from one week straight to the next, some things naturally just came by surprise and didn't go as planned, as they usually do. But for whatever reason, at some point along that process, I just decided to trust life and say, hey, I'm gonna listen to my gut on this. I'm gonna continue to move towards what I know is exciting to me and fulfills me and is something that I wanna do now and in the future. So that's what I did. And if you wanna see this whole process, everything that I was just talking about, I have a video where I decide to leave my job, where I actually put in my notice and where all of this chaos is happening and how I'm feeling during that whole process. So like I said, if you are thinking about leaving your job, or you left your job, or you're just like curious about what that whole process was actually like, definitely check out those videos or queue them up next. And again, what you're about to see is what happened when I first started my new job after all of that other stuff went awry. Here's what happened next. there. You might have questions right now, such as, Why is your nose red? Or why does your voice sound like that? Or what? Why are you coughing? Well, I got sick. Yes, against all efforts to prevent getting the virus. I got the virus just in the midst of this job transition. I said to myself, if there is ever a time not to get it, now is the time. I'm smiling, but it's actually not funny. Yeah, I really was what some might call paranoid and very, very, very careful. But the week before last, I got invited to speak on a panel to college students, and I checked the invite only minutes before to see that there was no Zoom link, and it was actually in person, and it was in the building that I work in. But I went downstairs to find 20 to 25 Jeremy college students, rushed to make them coffee, and they were all hanging out with their masks on their chins, drinking the coffee that I made them, spreading germs. So I got hit kind of hard for a week, and now here I am. And I really had to finish up my old job in a worse condition than this. I kind of worked at least a little bit every day that I was sick, trying to like make sure all of the questions were answered by the new person who's filling my role, and like that everything was in place. I don't think that helped the healing process. Last week was tough. Now that it's Monday, I'm starting to recover. Yesterday I started to feel like a normal human again. Today the same, and we're working on getting better now that I am officially starting my first day of my new job. Not ideal, but you know, things happen. I'm doing the best I can. I'm just excited to get back to actually doing things. This morning I woke up a little bit late just to give myself a break, like 8:30, and I had a strengths assessment, and I muted every time I had to cough and unmuted again. And I think I never met this person before, so I think he just thought I had a raspy voice. And then I had a call with my new boss, and I have a training this afternoon for the training program that I'm completing for my new job. So pretty solid day. Not pushing myself or anything, but we're getting back at it. And I've got a bunch of strengths assessments this week. I've got some research that I'm doing for my new job, call for a potential opportunity that's related to the training that I'm doing actually. And we're just trying to have a good week despite being sick and still being in recovery mode. That's why I was throwing back a glob of vitamin C this morning when I was getting up, and that's why I sound like this. I'm actually feeling pretty good despite all of the absolute chaos. For whatever reason, even though things keep popping up and just becoming more chaotic, I kind of just feel like things might be okay. I really wish I could explain why, but at a certain point I just was like tired of worrying, and I just feel like things are gonna work out, things are gonna be okay, things are being sorted out with my new job. We're slowly but surely figuring things out, and I don't know, I'll be fine. I'll be fine, you know? I guess I'm just tired of worrying, so here we are. So I'm just getting back from getting a test to see if I'm negative from the virus, so cross your fingers for me. I should get a text shortly. But I wanted to tell a story that kind of represents what this week has been for me. It has been my first full week in this new schedule, this new job, this new lifestyle, I guess, and honestly, I'm happily surprised with how things are working out. A couple of years ago, I was listening to a podcast by the guy who wrote the book Essentialism. I think it's Greg McKeown or something like that. He was telling this story about how he would always bike on the beach. It was like every day to exercise or to enjoy the outdoors. He would do this bike ride all along the beach on the sand. He would like hustle. He'd be like pumping his legs to like bike through the sand and push himself to get the best time that he could. And by the end of the bike ride, it was like 43 minutes or something like that. And he would be like sweating profusely. He like barely had looked at the ocean while he was doing this bike ride, but he was just like pushing to get the best time that he could. And one day he just like didn't feel like pushing himself. And he went on this bike ride along the beach, and he was looking up at the sky and the seagulls, and he was gazing out on the water, and he was enjoying the breeze, and he wasn't sweating his face off, and he just had the best time. And at the end of this bike ride, he looked at his watch, and lo and behold, it said 45 minutes. And he was like, oh my God, there's no way that there's a 2-minute difference between me busting my butt and me taking this leisurely bike ride. But it was true. It was only a couple minutes difference, and it was him like pushing through the sand on his bike versus like gliding through the sand. And obviously that story has stuck with me. It was a couple of years ago that I listened to this podcast where he was talking about it, but I kind of felt like that second bike ride was finally me. I have been pushing for a couple of years now, basically hustling to fit in this busy schedule, and my workflow at my old job was kind of just like this push. There's so many things that could be happening at once. So many people needed my attention. I would get, 50 to 100 emails on average every day, and all of those were like people requesting tasks from me, pretty much like things that I had to do because of it. And then I had meetings and I had all this other stuff to do while like the emails were piling up, and I was managing one of the properties, and there was always things to be fixed there. And it was just sort of like all these things trying to perfectly balance it and stay afloat. And like, I was living in a constant state of stress, and I didn't even realize, like I knew I was stressed, but I didn't realize how stressed I really was. And particularly the last 4 months, October, November, December, and January were extremely stressful at my job. And January's schedule was absolutely insane with balancing my job with like the training and the transition and everything. And this week was like going from that hustling bike ride to going that gliding bike ride and gazing out on the ocean. Even though I was, quarantining stuck in my apartment, I just had a much smoother week, a much more relaxed week. I will say that I worked fewer hours than what I have been doing with my intense schedule, but it was like, I still worked, but it felt like I had much more ease in my week, which was really interesting. And the best part about this was that today I took a look at my, financial situation this week and what I earned. So I worked a week with the program with students, and then I also did 5 kind of extra long strengths assessments. And with those 2 things, I got paid 2.5 times more what I would have gotten paid this week if I stayed at my old job. What the heck? That's crazy to me. Even though there was the potential of this raise, even if I factor that in, it's still like 2 times as much. So getting paid 2 times as much, or 2 times plus as much, and feeling much more ease in my week, and doing stuff that's honestly more of a fit for my skills and my strengths and my interests and where I want to head in the future. And that honestly blows my mind. Like, I was like smiling to both ears when I realized this, when I was like crunching the numbers and being like, wait a second. How did this happen? So, I may not do this many strengths assessments every week, and things may pan out differently, but I say all this to say that I am at a point where I'm going to be making equal to more than what I was making at my old job, with much less stress, with much more alignment with what I want to be doing. And I was on edge thinking that things would go wrong with this transition. I was wondering how things could crash and burn, but they're actually working out. And I feel motivated, and I'm, excited to be able to use this opportunity of having more schedule flexibility to pursue these things that I'm interested in, which was really the point of making this transition in a lot of ways. It's just really nice to see that, on this Friday, after a week of working this new schedule, that I'm in a very, comfortable position from a financial sense, and also in a much better position in terms of flexibility and freedom in being able to devote time to things that I'm excited about. So I'm doing well over here, and I'm excited to see what happens next. Oh my God, wait. I am about to get my results. Oh my God. Negative! Oh my God! Yes! Oh, I am free. oh my God. Ah. Okay, what a good week. What a good week. So as you can see, everything turns out just fine, which I was hoping, but honestly not anticipating. As I mentioned before, if you want the in-depth view of everything that was involved in making the decision to leave and actually building up to telling my team I was leaving, definitely watch part 1 and 2 if you haven't already. And also, definitely subscribe because I am in the process of filming what my life actually looks like with much more flexibility and freedom. So I'm excited to share that. We had a couple cliffhangers with these last couple of parts, but things are actually headed in a really good direction. And then I want to do a sit down video as well, just outlining what I learned from this whole process so that I can share that, because job transitions are tough and there's a lot that goes into it. So I just want to help you if you're interested in making a transition or amidst a transition right now. So that is coming up, but we'll go ahead and wrap up there. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you really like these behind the scenes of what these big changes are like and what life actually looks like with pursuing a new career path, definitely click like so I know, and subscribe so that you can see those other part 4 and part 5 popping up in your feed. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye.